Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As some of you guys may know, I just celebrated my 5 years of remission, which means that I can officially declare myself cancer-free, cured from bone cancer. So that's a big deal. And I realized that there's been some misunderstanding about how I lost my leg, so I'm just here to clear it up and give you guys my amputation story. So to start, I kind of have to explain a little bit about the protocol for my cancer. So you guys know, when I was 20 years old, I got diagnosed with a rare bone cancer called Ewing sarcoma, and altogether treatment was 1 year. I did 27 rounds of high-dose chemotherapy, but the way that the protocol goes is for the first half of treatment, you do chemo, and then you take a little break in between, and that's when you have either limb salvage surgery or radiation or both, and then after that, you restart chemo. So I did my first half of chemo, and I had my limb salvage surgery, and what happened is I ended up catching a hospital-borne infection that sent me into septic shock. So let me tell you about the night that I was losing my leg. I was laying in bed here at home, and there was a home nurse that was coming to check on me, and I was not feeling well. I was running a fever, I was extremely weak, and she got very concerned and ended up calling the paramedics. I was laying there in so much pain that I actually, I couldn't move because the amount of pain in my leg was so intense that I had to stay still. I couldn't move. And the reason why was because the infection entered, or the pathogen entered, a little open wound in my limb salvage surgery leg, and the pathogen just started multiplying, and it caused a lot of damage inside the leg that they tried to save. And the reason being was because I had to restart chemo. Like I said, after limb salvage surgery, you restarted chemo, so I didn't have an immune system. So I was in a lot of pain, and the paramedics came. And this is actually one of my most prominent PTSD flashbacks is that night. The paramedics came, they all surrounded my bed, and they tried to make me comfortable. But as you guys know from my previous video about my opiate physical dependence and addiction, I had a really high tolerance for pain medication. So I had already taken oral pain meds, and then they came in and the paramedics tried to get me comfortable. They gave me the max dose amount of fentanyl that they could give me, and I was still in pain. And what happened after that was they told me I had to brace myself because I started slipping in and out of consciousness. I was in severe septic shock, and there was no more time to try to get me to get comfortable. So they told me I had to brace myself and that they were going to carry me out of here. And with every single movement, the pain was so indescribably bad. And what got me the worst was my son was there to witness that. And part of my PTSD flashbacks is I see my son looking up in terror as I'm being carried away by the paramedics. And with, you know, the little energy that I had, I made it a point of telling my son that I promised that I would come back. And after I was taken out of the house, I came to the really shocking realization that that may be a promise that I wasn't going to be able to keep. And the paramedics took me to my local hospital, and again, the pain was so bad that when they had to transfer me from the gurney from the ambulance onto the bed in the ER, I screamed so loud that the entire ER went silent because the pain was that bad. And it was to the point that the head ER doctor assigned me my personal nurse that was just repeatedly giving me pain medication every 5 minutes, was giving me Dilaudid every 5 minutes because the pain was so bad. And that is when they you know, really said that I was in severe septic shock, that I probably wasn't going to make it, and I needed to get to the cancer hospital that I was treated at Yale as soon as possible. So they set up an ambulance to take me to Yale, and just to my luck, there was traffic, bumper to bumper traffic, and it was almost impossible for the ambulance to rush me there and get around. And I remember being inside of the ambulance, and the paramedic kept apologizing. He actually started crying because I was in so much pain. I was close to dying, and he just wanted to keep me comfortable. And he was nervous too, because, you know, I mean, imagine the amount of frustration. All he wanted to do was to get me to where I needed to be and keep me comfortable. And it was bad. And I remember telling him, you know, none of this is your fault, you know, so if something happens, none of this is your fault. I remember telling him that. And so I finally got to Yale, and I was sent into the, you know, emergency department. And again, because the pain was so uncontrollable, I just had to kind of grin and bear it. And I screamed again when they had to move me from the ambulance gurney onto the hospital bed in the ER. And in came a doctor with a needle this big, and he said that he needed to stick it deep into my knee so that they could find out what was causing the infection, what was causing the septic shock. And again, I screamed in pain because that needle went deep into my knee, and my whole leg hurt so bad already, and it was bad. And then they, you know, immediately sent me up into the pediatric oncology floor because that's where I was being treated. And the department head of the surgical sarcoma program came to me to talk to me about what my options were, because they stabilized me enough that I would be able to undergo surgery. And I needed to have that surgery because that infection was ravaging body. And he told me that I had one of two options. He said that they could try again to save the leg, but it would require a minimum of maybe 9 extra surgeries. And after my first limb salvage surgery, it was like I had a dead leg. And after he offered that, he said, but I don't think you'd be able to keep it anyway. And then he said, we need to be serious and talk about amputation. And at that point, the pain was so bad. I was desperate just to be out of the pain, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And they first did a surgery where they went in to try to take out all the infection, and it took 4 surgeries within 5 days to finalize my amputation. And when I woke up from my amputation, I woke up in a temporary prosthesis, which is called an iPop. And nobody warned me that I'd wake up with that temporary prosthesis on, and I woke up in post-op, and I was screaming because not only the pain, but my leg being gone, and then the iPop being there, and it was just bad, so they had to knock me out again. And then, you know, since then, it's not been easy being an amputee, but I've learned a lot. I've come to appreciate a lot more, and I've met, you know, so many other wonderful amputees that I'll probably be lifelong friends with. So that's my amputation story, and that's how I lost my leg. It wasn't the cancer that took my leg, it was infection because of treatment, because they did initially save my leg when they did the limb salvage surgery. So I just wanted to clarify that. So please like, subscribe, share, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And thank you guys for watching.